Before we begin, I want to say welcome everybody and all constitutional rights invoked, none waived. So with that being stated, moving right along today, we're going to be talking about a person by the name of Rosemarie Welch. Rosemarie Welch, who is an attorney who practices in Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio. She's also the guardian ad litem. She also works as a guardian ad litem for the court. So she's an officer of the court as well. So with that being said, today we're going to get right into Rosemarie Welch. Rosemarie Welch was the guardian ad litem that was appointed to Moses's divorce case. She was on the case um, for pretty much most of the entire time. Since what was the date? You think
I
around
can't
what
remember
time?
exactly, but it's half of the time she was appointed. Not at the very beginning, but like in the middle, like somewhere in the middle when she got appointed.
I want to say somewhere probably August or sometime before then. Was it immediately that she got appointed to the case?
No, it wasn't at the beginning. It was in the middle.
Okay, well, she was on the case for more than 9 months. She was on the case. Um, she neglected to do her job. She neglected to inform the courts because she had a duty of care to the courts and to the minor children. And what she did actually, what a guardian ad litem is supposed to do is a guardian ad litem is supposed to conduct a fact-finding investigation as to the children and the well-being of the children, and anywhere those children may be situated, they would gather information in regards to where the kids is living, and from both parents, both mom and dad. So what happened is the guardian ad litem, she she waited a while. She waited until it was like 2017 before she came to your house.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to court hearings and hadn't even been out to his house yet. And so the divorce was filed June 14th, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And
Actually, because I remember she it she didn't come on until after she came on when Jeffrey was still my attorney, so it had to have been it was November, between November December when she got appointed.
well, I don't know why, but I think it was a little bit before then. But
No, it wasn't before then, because I remember when she came on, Jeff, I had to sign something,
oh, okay,
and
okay,
I had to pay something.
okay,
So
okay.
that was, yeah, that happened with Jeff. So it was between November December, because she I had my hearing in front of Magistrate Elliott in January. My very first hearing, she was there. So yeah.
Okay, this guardian ad litem was out of line, and she was also a part of the civil conspiracy as well. She went out of her way to repeatedly assert that Mr. Moses McCormick should be jailed. He should be jailed. He should be jailed immediately. I want him immediately jailed. Why would you want him immediately jailed, first of all? Second of all, she alleged that she wanted him to be jailed because he was failing to he was failing to follow a court order that he didn't even know went into effect because his attorney neglected to advise him of such. She also that was said that was her primary reason to continuously ask the courts to send him to jail, for him to be arrested at the courthouse and taken to jail immediately. For what purposes and for what reason, on what grounds? The grounds in which she stated was because he wasn't following a court order, which means that because he wasn't taking his children to daycare when he was fully available to watch them himself, she think he needs to immediately go to jail for that. Immediately. Like arrested in the court and taken off to jail because he won't take his kids to daycare. What kind of monkey business is that? What kind of monkey business is that when the Constitution clearly states that you have a right to family? You have a right to, unless your rights have been taken away through due process, you know, you can't just do that. So Rosemarie Welch was actually working as a facilitator with trying to get him so frustrated for him to settle out of court. Because if he'd have settled out of court, it would have ended all of that. It would have ended all the confusion. They said if you settle out of court, they'll end all the confusion. They just needed him to settle out of court because they did not want to give him his marital property that he was rightfully entitled to. They wanted to, what they did was they wanted to cut a deal. The evidence suggests that what they were trying to do was cut a deal with his wife's attorney to get some money and to get that money instead of it going to him. And in return, they would allow her to keep all the money that she had secretly in the trust, keep that away from the courts and keep that from the courts knowing about it. So when he filed a motion to compel in the courts then didn't rule on it, didn't deny it. They just didn't do anything. It was just really sad the way they took care of that. But getting back to Rosemarie Welch, she had enough power in the situation to where she could have stopped the violation of his rights pertaining to the children. The violation of my rights pertaining to my nieces. So, she gathered enough facts to know that there was no probable reason for him to have to take his children to the daycare while his wife attended work when he's fully available, unless he lost his parental rights. There was no reason why he should have been taking his children to daycare. If you don't want to take your children to daycare and you want to keep them home with you, you can do that.
And then the sickening part, the most disturbing part about that is that the daycare was, I believe it was like $30,000 a year or something like that.
Yes, the daycare, basically what they tried to do was they tried to make it look like, oh, she has daycare expenses, and they rigged it. They rigged up this phony picture. So they went ahead and hurried up and went to try to go get daycare. The daycare was ridiculous, like $33,000 a year for the daycare. They went and got that so they could justify and try to find a reason why they passed on giving him spousal support. So they could say, okay, the wife is paying all these expenses. The wife has the kids in daycare. No, the wife doesn't have the kids in daycare. The parent is fully available. The kids don't need to go to daycare. That's foolishness. You see what I'm saying? But they allowed her to try to use that so they could take his parental rights, and so they could get him to just say, you know what, forget it, I'll settle. And that's abusive process is what that is called. Using a legal process for a purpose in which it was not intended for, or purpose in which it was not designed for. They're abusing that. Spousal support was put in place to allow a spouse to have comfort while they're going through a divorce, and they denied him of that and put him through hell on purpose. And Rosemarie Welch, being the guardian ad litem, she could have lessened that burden. She could have lessened those damages if she would have just stepped up and did the right thing. She waited until he called her to the stand as a witness. He had to call her to the stand as a witness after she had conducted an investigation with him. Because eventually she did come out to the house and she looked at the living quarters and everything. She sat down with him for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and she got to know him. And then he asked her, after getting to know me, do you feel that I should still go to jail now that you know me? And she said, well, no. And she felt different. She didn't even know him. She was saying, send him to jail, send him to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So after the fact, once they got back in court, he called her to the stand and he asked her, he questioned her, and he said, do you remember telling the courts repeatedly that I need to go to jail and that they should lock me up and arrest me immediately and lock me up? She said, I never said that. He said, you most certainly did. And she said, oh, I remember I did say that. And then she went on to he asked her, he said, so is there any problems with my home or parenting? She said, I don't see any problems with your parenting at all. I'm just worried that if you're gonna follow court. This is what she said. This is what she said. No problem with parenting, no problem with the kids, no problem, none of that. But you want to find a reason to try to validate your position of going along with them with their shenanigans because you want to get paid too. But no. So Rosemarie Welch, she did not try to do anything right. She didn't try to do anything right. Okay. I paid that lady, I paid her roughly 400. I think it was 300 some odd dollars. And she did nothing the whole time on the case. She did nothing. And then she withdrew from the case. No, nothing about the kids, no report, nothing on the docket, just collecting money, abusing processes, collecting free money monthly, just collecting the money. Not doing nothing, just collecting money, creating court dates and collecting money. Pushing out dates and collecting money every month. So basically, she was used as another way to bleed him dry. And then what she allowed them to do is she allowed them to use his children as a weapon, oh, you don't want to comply, you don't want to bargain with us, okay. And then the judge Kim Elena Brown and magistrate Brian K. Elliott, they took his parental rights away for no reason. No reason at all. For no reason at all. And they're not allowing him to see his children. And he hasn't seen his children in about 9 months. Okay. So basically, getting back to what I was saying was, Rosemarie Welch, she could have stopped. She could have put a stop to it. She was a co-conspirator. She was a co-conspirator. She was in collusion with. She was in. Oh shit.
You gotta press that black button at the bottom.
So basically, Rosemarie Welch, she was a co-conspirator in this whole thing, in the grand scheme of all this. And she conspired with the other side. She would not talk about the well-being of the kids. She refused. We called a meeting with her. We met with her personally, me and him. We asked her, we were saying, okay, what's going on as far as the kids? She said, I'm not able to discuss that right now. You're not able to discuss that right now. You don't want to discuss it right now because you know that you're in collusion with the other side. So basically, this video was to shed light on Rosemarie Welch. We'll be sharing more about her. Again, she is the guardian ad litem in this situation. She was negligent. She was negligent. She owed a duty of care to the courts and a duty of care to the minor children. She breached her fiduciary duty of care, fiduciary duty, and she's being sued. She's being sued too. She's being sued. So again, this video was about Rosemarie Welch, who was the guardian ad litem.
She's finished.
She's corrupt. And that's all I have to say about that. That lady is corrupt. It's corrupt. Okay.